Chapter 21 Letter in the Wind. The following night, a letter tied with a feather flew into the camp. The handwriting was graceful. General La, I, Yang Yun Ji, urgently inform you. Mother has been imprisoned by the Wangs in the Nine-Dragon Temple, by the Reed Forest. Please do not be hasty. If you see a white flag hanging on the tower, it is a trap. Lei Sheng clutched the letter tightly. The ink still smelled of incense. His heart was pounding. Qin looked over and said in a low voice, "Even if it is a trap, you must enter it. But do not risk it alone. I have a plan." Night walk to save people on the third night. The three-line shadow plan was launched. Qin Shubao led a group of fake siege troops to the west, beating drums and lighting torches to lure the king's army out of position. Cheng Jiaojin hid at the edge of the reed forest and fired 3 tiger fire cannons, making the enemy think they were a large ambush. La Sheng walked alone like a moon shadow, following the dry stream to the Nine Dragons Temple. The temple walls were covered with moss, and the wind made the bells creak. There was no white flag on the tower, just as the letter said. But La Cheng still did not reveal himself, only placing a dry willow branch as a mark, then circled around behind the temple. Suddenly, the door creaked. The door opened slightly. Yuanba stepped out, her clothes old but her eyes bright. "Don't come here. There is a poisonous bell rope." La Cheng nodded slightly. The tip of his spear pointed 3 times. Crackle, crackle. The rope broke like cutting silk. "Follow me." He held her hand, the other holding the spear. The two of them walked through the dark corridor, each step like walking on the edge of a sword. The trap of appearance when they reached the backyard. Hayat An was already waiting. Beside him were 3 black-clothed archers. "You came, I saved you," he smiled, "because I want to kill you with my own arrow." The 3 bowstrings snapped like tearing silk. La Fan turned the spear into Van La Kai An. The silver dome was tight like a net. Keng, keng, keng. 3 arrows fell down. Hayadan rushed in, his short sword like snake venom. La Fan pointed, locked, turned. Kin Thuong Zion knew yet. The spear tip was stuck close to his wrist. The 2 remaining archers drew arrows continuously. Trin Jiao Kim from the temple roof smashed down with a hammer. Deern Kich Tri Fong. The roof tiles shattered. The 2 black men fell down. Qin Thuk Bao rushed in like thunder. Liang Long Ho Nuyet. The twin spears crossed to cover Nuyet Enji, pushing her behind the Buddha statue. Hayadan had tried to retreat, but La Fan was already there, the spear tip blocking. 3 times you aimed at my heart. This time, at your heart. The spear tip pointed, spun, calmed. Hayat An fell to his knees. The sword clattered. La Fan did not finish him off. He said, "You are an assassin, but you are also a human. If you want to live, leave this world of blood." Hayat An looked at him for a long time, smiled faintly, jumped into the darkness, no longer looking back. A promise under the moonlight. By the brickyard, Dohang Nuyet Nizi trembled as she retied the silk strip on La Fan's wrist, the lily-embroidered scarf. "If there comes a day of peace, I will wait." La Fan bowed his head, only able to say, "I promise." "But tonight," she said, "Viong the Sung will scatter hidden arrows along the riverbank, aiming at the retreat route. Follow the ancient tomb behind the temple." Qin and Cheng nodded. The 3 escorted her through the reed forest, the moon shimmering like water in a jar. In the distance, the sound of the horn resounded. The king discovered Qin's drum plan. The road to retreat in the rain of arrows at the edge of the river, arrows rained down like silver ribbons. Qin Shubao shouted, "Follow the 3-link early battle formation." The twin spears turned into steel shields. Cheng Jiaojin swung his hammer. 3 palaces of thunder suppression. 3 blows of the hammer broke the entire column of arrows. The hillside collapsed like a termite nest. Lao Cheng returned the 3 link arrows, each one hitting its own. The black-clothed archers fell like cut corn. Safely crossing the bank, Yun Jai turned back, her eyes wet with dew. Dawn in the oath. The morning was dim. The mist cleared. The reed bank glistened with water droplets. Li Shimin listened to the report, looked at Lao Cheng, and nodded slightly. Having a strategy and courage, and also valuing righteousness. Such a person, the Tang Dynasty needs. Qin put his hand on his brother's shoulder. Brother, if I had made one wrong move last night, I wouldn't be standing here. Trin laughed heartily. As for me, if the hammer had fallen half an inch off, the temple roof would have been destroyed. The 3 looked at each other and laughed. In the distance, Hulao Pass still stood tall. Behind the ramparts, Vuong the Soon gathered more soldiers and nurtured more poisonous strategies. But on the banks of the reeds, glowing with sunlight, the promise under the moonlight had just anchored an anchor to fate. On a peaceful day, I will return. Chapter 22, The Tiger Storm. The prophet on the poisonous mountain. Before the storm, after the bloody battle, the 4 heroes Qin Shubao, Cheng Shujin, Luo Cheng, and Luo Zi returned to camp together. The campfire was blazing, and the sound of the horn still echoed in the distance. In that moment of silence, everyone's heart was in turmoil. La Cheng stroked Yang Wui's handkerchief embroidered with lilies. For the first time, in front of his brothers, he did not hide it anymore. If one day I do not return, please leave this handkerchief to her. The words made the whole camp moved. Qin Shubao patted his shoulder, his eyes shining. Brothers live and die together. Who would abandon another on the battlefield? The shadow from the north. Meanwhile, Wang Shikong was not discouraged and asked for help from the anti-Sui heroes in the Yellow River region. One of them was Yuan Huaji, the man who killed Emperor Yang of Sui and had the ambition to become king. Yuan Huaji was famous for his cruelty and believed in evil magic. He brought with him a sorcerer called Black Mountain Taoist, who specialized in practicing blood magic formations, burning the souls of soldiers as vengeful spirits. At night, his battle flags emitted a blood-red light, making anyone who saw them shiver. Prophecy on the Poison Mountain. In the midst of this suffocating situation, news spread in the town camp. On the Poison Mountain, a hermit of profound virtue had just come down from the mountain, leaving behind a prophecy. In the midst of chaos, 4 dragons gather. The world will be settled. A moonflower connecting the heroes. But blood will stain Hulao. The rebels will summon vengeful spirits. Only with a bright heart can one break through the evil curtain. After hearing this, everyone's heart was shaken. 4 dragons gather. Weren't they the 4 heroes of Qin, Cheng, Luo, and Luo? And isn't the moonflower the same as the moon Genge that Lathan carries in his heart? The belief and also the challenge. Everything was predestined. Magic in battle. The next day, the 2 sides faced each other again. The Yuan Huaji army set up the blood spirit formation, drawing a blood pattern on the ground, and a wooden stake with a skull stuck in it. The Black Mountain Taoist stood in the middle, his hands dancing with magic seals, his mouth chanting a spell. Suddenly, a wailing sound came from the ground. A dark shadow rose up, like tens of thousands of ghost soldiers. The Tang army panicked. The horses neighed loudly. The soldiers retreated. At that moment, Lathan spurred his horse, his long spear shining like lightning. He shouted, "The ghost is just an illusion. Let's see if my spear can pierce it." A spear pierced through the smoke. The light broke the illusion, causing the ghost soldiers to disappear like mist. Cheng Jiaojin roared loudly. His heavy hammer swung out. One blow hit the ground. The blood stake broke apart. The magic formation shook. Qin Shubao threw his spear repeatedly. his body movements like a dragon, cutting off each blood talisman. Luo-Zi shot arrows like rain. The arrows pierced straight into the heart of the assistant mage. Blood splattered everywhere. The incantations stopped abruptly. Love in the storm, right at that moment. A female soldier in light armor, her face covered with a white veil, appeared in the Tang army. She was Yang Yuanba, who had disguised herself and secretly followed Luo Cheng for a long time. When she saw him surrounded by a rain of arrows, she disregarded the danger and rushed in to shield him, causing her white shirt to be soaked with blood. Le Cheng held her in his arms, her eyes red, and shouted loudly, "You, Nangde, why are you here?" She smiled weakly and said softly, "I vow to be by your side, even in a storm of fire." That scene shook the army's hearts. Many Tang soldiers sobbed, and everyone rushed forward to risk their lives, as if they had been given more strength. When the sun set, the blood spirit formation collapsed, the Yuan Huaji army was defeated and had to retreat to the north. The Black Mountain Taoist vowed to return, to take revenge on the vengeful spirit. In the Tang camp, the four heroes and Yuanjie sat together. The prophecy on Poison Mountain still rang in their ears. 4 dragons gathered, 1 moon flower. Has fate truly unfolded? Chapter 23. The Demon Mathematics of Hu Lao Pass. The Imperial of Poisonous Mountain comes down the mountain. The ghost returns. After Yuan Huaji's disastrous defeat, the world thought it would be peaceful. But less than a month later, bad news spread. The Black Mountain Taoist was not dead. He had retreated into the deep forest and set up a blood sacrifice altar on top of Hu Lao. It was said that every night on the mountain, red flames rose up to the clouds, the sound of demons crying loudly, and birds and beasts fled. The prophecy at Dushan was repeated again. When evil spirits swallow the moon, the world will be in turmoil. Those with bright hearts must pass through Hu Lao Pass. Otherwise, dragons and tigers will perish together. Destinies will crumble like dust. Conspiracy in the court. While magic was rising on the border, in the capital city of Luoyang, Wang Shichong became increasingly suspicious and fearful. He heard that the Tang army was growing stronger, and the people's hearts were turning to Li Yan. To consolidate his power, he secretly allied with Yu Ringgao in Shandong, and secretly sent envoys to ask for help from the Turks in the north. The government was in chaos. The people were suffering, and uprisings broke out in many places. In the darkness, ambition and intrigue spread like fire in the dry grasslands. The Immortal appears one night in the Tang army camp. 4 heroes were discussing plans to defeat Hu Lao when an old man in a crane feather robe, with hair as white as frost and a bamboo stick appeared. His eyes were as bright as stars, and his steps were as light as clouds. He called himself Qing Zhuangzi, a Taoist hermit in Dushan. He said, "You are the 4 dragons in the prophecy. But to break the blood demon array, you must cultivate the heart-light true key. If your heart is still entangled with desire, if your emotions are not completely severed, then evil spirits will take advantage of that to stir things up." Those words shocked Luo Cheng, because he immediately thought of Yuanjie. But Qing Zhuangzi smiled and said, "True love is also the way. Not being severed is purity. But one must keep a clear mind. Let love transform into the power of protecting the path, then one can overcome evil." Having said that, he passed on to the 4 people an ancient magic seal, called the Jade Pure Heart Seal, which can work together to suppress evil. Hu Lao Demon Array. When the 4 heroes led their troops to Hu Lao, the sky suddenly darkened. Black clouds rolled, thunder and lightning boomed. On the citadel, the Black Mountain Taoist set up a great array. Skulls were hung in 8 directions. And in the middle of the sky hung a blood-stained bronze mirror called the Blood Moon Mirror. He laughed wildly. "You have come? Tonight the moon will be swallowed by blood, heroes and ghosts all buried here." As soon as the array opened, the earth shook and the mountains shook. From all four directions appeared tens of thousands of ghosts. Soldiers who had died in battle in the past turned into resentful souls. They rushed into the Tang army, screaming in terror. Four dragons link in the chaos. The four heroes joined forces to perform the Jade Pure Heart Seal. The four-colored light from Luo Cheng's spear, Cheng Jiaojin's hammer, Qin Shu Bao's spear, and Luo Zi's bow and arrows intersected, turning into a beam of light that shot straight into the sky. The ghost shadow was shattered by the light, but the Black Mountain Taoist still stood firm, blood oozing from his mouth. He chanted the spell even more fiercely, causing the blood moon mirror to glow red, shooting blood rays down to the battlefield. At that moment, Yang Yuanga also appeared. She threw into the battlefield a piece of ancient jade that Qing Zhuanzi had given her. The jade glowed, merging with the jade Qing Xin seal, shattering the blood moon mirror into 1,000 pieces. The sky suddenly brightened, the ghosts disappeared, and the magic array collapsed. The Black Mountain Taoist screamed loudly, blood flowing all over his body. But he escaped with a stream of black smoke, leaving behind a curse. On the day of your doom, I will return. End of chapter 23. The Tang army won a complete victory at Hulao. Its prestige resounded. The hearts of the people in the provinces and districts began to believe that the mandate of heaven was being given to them. In the quiet night after the battle, La Fan sat beside Nuyet Niye, holding hands, and said softly, "If the prophecy is true, then you are the moonlight in my heart. I only hope that in this life, we will overcome the storms together, never leaving or abandoning each other." The bright moon returned, as if to prove the new beginning of destiny. But everyone knew that there were still unpredictable storms ahead.